Retro Unboxing.
Hello viewers, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to get in with a very quick intro here and then I will waffle. I bought this MacBook off of eBay for £349.40. The guy said it was shit hot. Turns out that it wasn't perfect. I couldn't be asked to send it back. It was a pretty good spec machine. £350 was probably a little bit over what I wanted to spend, but that was what I ended up spending. It turns out the battery was awful, so I have been on Amazon and bought a new battery. I paid £40 for it, as you've just seen there. There were loads to choose from. This was actually the cheapest by probably 20 or 30 quid, and it came with everything, including some rubber gloves. Although it does say here, look, that you need a crowbar. But it did come with a memory foam mattress for a cat. So yeah, so that was nice. It also came with all the tools and everything. I do have some of my own tools which I've used for the project, so you'll see not everything on the desk there is what came with the kit. It certainly didn't come with that little green heat blower thing, or the brush, or the iPhone in the top left hand corner, or the IPA. So just the shit in that box, basically. Battery, those little yellow credit card spudger type things. That was a pain in the arse. I've got to say, if you do go and do this, I'm not doing this as a tutorial. But if you do this yourself, taking the back off was an absolute nightmare. You have to kind of really yank at it. And I would recommend, if you're going to do anything inside, any old Apple product. Yeah, so if you're going to do anything in any old Apple product or any kind of IT computer type product, if you're going to open it up to replace something or do anything, I would always advise that you plan on cleaning it while you're in there, because the fans, there'll be loads of dust, there'll be all sorts of shit in there. So I got the Hoover out and cleaned those fans out. I had noticed they were running quite loud, particularly when running Windows. Although I think I've got all the drivers and shit installed on Windows now, so I think I'm okay. So I watched a couple of tutorials on YouTube as to the best way to do that. There's loads of tutorials out there. Please don't watch mine as a tutorial per se. I'm effectively, what I'm trying to do here is inspire somebody that isn't massively techie. I'm reasonably techie. I've taken a few iMacs to bits. I've upgraded a few Macs and things, but I am generally, a bit of a moron. I don't have a degree in electronics or any of that kind of shit. I just like to have a tinker and a play, and this seemed like a project that sort of fit pretty much within my skill set. So I've removed some of the screws, I've removed the ribbon cable that connects the trackpad, and what I'm doing here before I try and remove the batteries is just heating up the glue, basically the adhesive. And then I'm also just putting a bit of IPA onto the end of the spudger to hopefully help try and dissolve the glue. I suspect that didn't help in the slightest, but I did it anyway. So yeah, you got to get it in there. You got to get the spudger under the battery. I managed not to break anything. You can split these batteries, and they will explode, and you could possibly die. So keep that spudger as flat as possible, and just give it a good wiggle. Wiggle it around, and eventually something will happen. But the reason I actually bought this Mac, it's a similar spec to a MacBook I used to have a MacBook, an i9 2019 model, and the reason I wanted this, I've adopted fully into the M1, M2 kind of Apple Silicon world now, and unfortunately they don't run Windows, or you can run Windows, but it seems like a bit of a ball ache. I wanted to run Windows as natively as possible, i.e. via Boot Camp, and in that respect I also wanted to run Windows on Intel hardware. So this MacBook that I'm dismantling here is an Intel i7 6700 something or another, 16 gigabytes of RAM with a 4 gigabyte Radeon graphics card. So it's a reasonable spec. And basically, I just needed to be able to use Windows now and then. And I looked around at older gaming laptops or just general Windows hardware. And in all honesty, you've either got to spend a shitload of money to get a good Windows laptop, or if you're spending 350 quid, you're not really going to get anything very good. The chances are it'll be the size of a doorstop, it'll be made of plastic, it'll be ridiculously loud. So I wanted to stick with Apple hardware and still be able to run Windows. So this seemed, inverted commas, like the ideal kind of middle ground. This has always been one of the worst MacBooks released, purely on the basis that it only has 4 Thunderbolt ports. That's it. There's a headphone port, but there's no MagSafe, there's no HDMI, there are no USB 3 ports. It's just Thunderbolts. Obviously, they're USB-C compatible, which is USB-C 3, but it's the Thunderbolt USB-C shaped ports, and that's a bit of a ball ache. Hopefully you're watching the video and you've seen that I've managed to fully get the old battery out. You do have to take out all of the screws on the logic board because the actual battery cable is sort of underneath the lip of the logic board. So what I'm actually doing here, you saw me just lifting the logic board with my thumb, and that actually seemed the best way to sort of prise the logic board up in order to give yourself that nice gap. This little cable here, unfortunately I'd accidentally just got it under the logic board, but I managed to just tease it out. This is the connector that connects the battery to the logic board. The biggest reason you can't really use my video here as a tutorial is because for most of the video my hands are in the way and you can't really see exactly what I'm screwing. This is a good tip, which I've not really seen on any of the tutorials for doing this job. Get a little pair of tweezers to tease that very tiny, very awkward little ribbon cable back into its slot. That was actually quite satisfying that I managed to do that reasonably well. Not quite sure why these batteries have a screen protector, but they do, which I nearly left on. And then pretty much all that's left to do now is plug everything back in, put all the ribbon cables back into place. The logic board screws I'm going to come on to in a moment. That cable there, that little ribbon cable, is the trackpad connector, which connects the trackpad to the logic board. I think at this point I've actually kind of plugged everything back in. It's basically just the battery and the connector for the logic board. And then put all the logic board screws back in. It looks all nice and clean under there now, doesn't it? So yeah, pop these logic board screws back in. I don't know why I left this section of the video so long. so then when I come to do the voiceover, I have to think of some shit to say. Yes, great, we've moved on. So I think what I do so this little plastic strip here, I presume it just covers these bits from maybe static or whatever, and yeah, the plastic strip that was originally in the Mac had lost its stickiness, but the battery people from Amazon had kindly put a spare one in. Oh, another top tip here: some of these screws, they're so tiny. What I ended up having to do was picking them up with tweezers, getting the end of the little Torx screwdriver into the screw, and sort of I think they're magnetic a little bit, so they don't drop off the end, and then you can locate them into the hole. Thought I'd just give the underside of the base of the MacBook a bit of a clean. That's just a bit of IPA on a dirty old rag. Actually, no, it was one of my favourite little lens cleaning cloths. It's a lovely little microfiber cloth for cleaning lenses, and now it's shagged because basically it's filthy from cleaning this MacBook up. So yeah, I thought before I screw it back in, I'll just flip it back over and just do a quick test to make sure that it's everything's worked before I screw the base back on. At first, I thought there was a problem, and then I see a little sign that says charge battery. Weirdly, when I actually plugged it in to start charging, there was 37% of battery, but I think it just needed the 1.21 gigawatts that the MagSafe charger produces to get it up and running again. It's booted straight into Windows, so I wait for this to boot into Windows, shut it down, and then I'm just going to open it back up into Mac OS. Oh shit, I've left my fucking password on there, haven't I? Oh, never mind. Let's gloss over that. I will just blur that out. Yeah, so it's working, which is good news. I then screw the base of the MacBook back into place. Base in the place, London. So yeah, that's the base screwed back into place. I give everything another little clean, and then get it fired up into Mac. I'm a bit of a clean freak. I like to just give everything a nice little wipe. Any fingerprints and shit that's been on from previous owners, I very much like to get rid of all that. So yeah, get it back up and running. I think this is this Ventura. I think this is the latest software that this MacBook can run natively. I think if I used OpenCore and updated it to a newer version of macOS, I wouldn't be able to run Boot Camp. Anyway, yes, thumbs up there. Great success. Yeah, I'm quite happy that this is up and running. It's a nice little machine. The next thing I'm going to be doing, I've partially done it. I've got a 27-inch 5K iMac that I'm going to give a bit of a refurb. Hopefully you'll see me then.
Retro unboxing.